I think it's pretty safe to say that when we examine the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans love the characters of Anakin, Luke, and yes, even Ben Solo in the sequel trilogy era by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one major controversial piece of The Rise of Skywalker is the title of the movie, right? A lot of fans had some issues with the title of the movie and exactly what it really meant by the very end of Episode 9. Now, Disney and Lucasfilm, as we speak, they are developing their new expanded universe. I don't know if you guys heard, but this is going to be a big deal for this year of 2020, leading into 2021, and so on and so forth. That's really going to create a brand new expanded universe for the fans. That's really going to give us new characters. That's going to expand on the existing characters like Luke, Han, Leia, Rey, Ben Solo, and moving on forward from that. So, obviously you can see that they're trying to do something quite massive and that they are very ambitious about developing this new EU, that they are trying to model it after the MCU as well as the old expanded universe of Star Wars back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Now, obviously, do I believe it's going to be as good as the old EU? I'm not quite sure about that because of one big reason and one of the big plans that Disney and Lucasfilm actually has in store as of right now to really fulfill the Skywalker lineage and to keep moving it forward. So, the thing that really is quite worrisome for a lot of fans out there is exactly how the Skywalkers will be handled. Now, with The Rise of Skywalker now out in theaters, and Disney and Lucasfilm are primarily focused on the future of Star Wars and their new Star Wars universe, fans have been very curious about the future of the franchise and where it's actually going to go. Now, currently Disney is developing their new EU that will evolve the franchise with movies, TV shows, books, and more as well. One of the big plans that Disney has in store is to not only emulate the old EU by introducing a handful of Skywalkers, such as the first Skywalker, and how they are in negotiations of bringing back Luke Skywalker's son, but that they are also said to have a plan to reboot the Skywalkers on top of that, with the character of Rey Skywalker and the children that she will have in the new expanded universe that will take the franchise into a different direction and will be loosely inspired from the Star Wars Legacy comics that focused on a descendant of Luke Skywalker, Cade Skywalker. Now, this plan by Lucasfilm to use Rey as a foundation to create new Skywalkers seems to be quite controversial, but at the same time, Disney and Lucasfilm are creating other Skywalkers, such as the first one in existence, as well as how they are trying to bring in Luke Skywalker's son again into the new expanded universe for fans around the world. Now, this is Lucasfilm's way to create a future for the Skywalker name, as well as visiting elements of the past and how the name Skywalker came into existence in the first place, and that they are actually considering this as a reboot to the Skywalker lineage that will make fans view the films in a completely different way from now on moving forward, and exactly what's going to happen with Rey Skywalker. This plan is to reboot the Skywalkers as far as the story of Rey Skywalker goes and her family, comes from the creatives over at Lucasfilm, and that this will be told in various forms of canon material in the near future. So, how do I feel about this? Now, obviously, this is a big deal, because this is something that I believe a lot of fans are going to have issues with. You can see that they're trying to make a balance here. On one end, they're trying to reboot the Skywalkers in a positive way, where it's going to focus on the first one in existence, the first Skywalker, which, by the way, was an abandoned idea for the Rise of Skywalker that was going to be utilized in a place called the Lost City that was completely cut from the movie. We were going to learn about the legacy of the first Skywalker in existence and how there was an ancient Jedi that actually held the name. So, on top of that, they're also trying to bring back Luke's son. We talked about this just yesterday, that they're trying to recanonize that idea that they actually deleted from the old expanded universe. In the old EU, he was actually named Ben Skywalker, so you can see where they got Ben Solo from. So, now the whole deal of rebooting the Skywalker lineage with the character of Rey and how she is going to really take control of the Skywalker name with her children and her children's children and moving on down the family tree. So, it's going to be interesting because we've seen a great example of this in the EU. There are so many Skywalkers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the EU, but there are a good list of Skywalkers in there. Cade Skywalker is by far one of the most interesting ones aside from Luke's son. It's a very interesting character. I do suggest that you guys go ahead and read up on the Star Wars Legacy comics if you guys want to learn more on the descendant of Luke. But how they're trying to do this, I think that what they should do is that they should leave it alone with Rey and Rey at best. I don't think that they really should continue the Skywalker lineage unless if they can really write it in a way where maybe it's like her having the ability to have a child with Ben Solo. You know, they could do something around the lines of that. If it's done like that, then I can understand because he himself is a Skywalker. That to me would make more sense. So that's the big deal here, is exactly how they're going to handle it moving forward. Exactly how she's going to have children. Who is she going to have children with? That's going to play a major factor into all of this. And let's not forget that she has Palpatine's blood. I think a lot of people tend to forget about this, but she has Palpatine's blood, so it's very likely that one of those children could very well turn to the dark side. There's no doubt about that. So anyways, guys, with that being said, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.